Scottish aristocrats while Celt was down the river. Give us all grief, had to believe we needed English gold. Rolled over the people were, so they could demand fucking land and titles. Vital, we vote the boot Scottish interest first, ending a curse. We fund hard to chap. We got a back Scottish independence. The defences. Would you let somebody tag our euros and tell you what you should spend? Defender, Canna. A fan of theirs? I'm definitely no. They make it so obvious they didn't want to give us our freedom. I see them.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the fear. We've got this referendum campaign won. Don't believe the multi-billionaire mainstream media and BBC ho-ho. They say that we're still behind in the polls, but use the evidence of your eyes and go round the schemes of Dundee. It's a sea of salt tires, a sea of yes banners, and better together and no banners are as rare as hen's teeth. If we lose this referendum, we'll be the biggest stewards inquiry in history.
Hi friends, my name's Stuart Furlong. I've been asked to chair this event today. This is very much a DIY demonstration. It's a message that we want to send out to B&Q, others of the naysayers, that we are doing it ourselves. This is people's democracy. This is what a movement looks like. The figures have been released. For the first time ever, 97% of those people entitled to vote in a Scottish election have signed up to vote on the 18th. That's a testimony to those folk in the Radical Independence campaign, and Stobie for Aye, and trade unions for yes, and the SNP and the Greens. They've knocked doors and have spoken to people and have got the forms into the registration office. We need to turn that 97% registration into an overwhelming vote for yes on the 18th of September. Folks, this isn't a victory rally. It's no victory rally yet. We've still got a lot to do. This isn't about complacency. This is about continual change. It's about working up to the 18th and making sure that change happens. What we're going to do today is we have a number of speakers who have offered to speak. They're going to come up to the mic and say a few words. But in addition, we're going to offer the mic to people that want to explain why they're voting yes. That's what we're going to do. We've had people marched here for the City Square and they were very welcome. We've people already demonstrating in the Murray Gate and they're going to join us. What we're going to do now is I'm going to hand over the mic to someone who will be well known to many Dundonians. We've chosen this point because Burns statue's here. We've chosen this point because this is a place where Mary Brooks Banks and others who demonstrated against austerity in the past were lifted for demonstrating for a fairer Scotland.
Supposed to be a free country.
That's what we're building, friend. That's what we're building.
I'm no politician and I've not got all the big words and figures that other lot have. But what I've got is the same as I use folk. Passion in the heart. We've got a cross section of people for the working class right up to the top who I believe this country could stand on its own feet. We've got more resources than any other wee nation in the world, and they're saying we can't stand on our own. They're all talking shite. I work with the Dundee City Council on the scaffies, and I see it every day. We're in the schemes, we're in the posh areas and that, and I see it as yes. Dundee is definitely leading the way for the fight for independence. And I hope this carries on right across the country come Thursday. Because what I would say to you, and I'm saying to Abdi on Facebook, social media and that, dinna watch the Westminster machine. Dinna listen to the lies in their media, their TV. Go and vote with your minds. And I'll say to the no vote and the undecided, ken what? We're a shiting ourselves, of course we are. But see, come that morning, we'll wake up on Friday and this country is ready to stand on its own again. Let's march together, be a nation, and let's do it. Cheers!
But this is probably the deepest and broadest and largest campaign it's ever been my privilege to actually be involved in. I think a lot of socialists were actually a wee bit sceptical about this campaign. Oh, of course, it was only about democratic rights, it was a constitutional issue. But at the root of this campaign, all the way through, has been the fundamental issue of class. When we go into the schemes, you can see the palpable support that we're actually getting. In the month before the deadline for registration, on September the 2nd, there was 7,000 new registrations in Dundee. And I echo the point that Alex Salmon made, that those people who were registering at that period of time were not registering to vote no. There's absolutely no way. The extent of the reception that we received when we were organising the registration stalls and schemes right across this city was something to behold. When we were getting into these schemes, Fintry, Mingus Hill, many other places, even before we were getting the stalls set up, we were being absolutely and utterly swamped. We were handing out the posters in Strathmartin Road, and then 2 minutes later we were watching them go up on the windows of the tenements. When we were actually canvassing in Park Avenue, and I am not joking here, I actually made this point to a Scotsman journalist who refused to print it because he thought he was telling porkies, but this is absolutely and utterly true. It was my pleasure and privilege to be chased out of close in Park Avenue by a junkie. And that junkie, who was totally and utterly gouging at the time, was chasing me to get registration forms. For him and his bird, he said. He's, Karen, get the registration forms in, man. Grab the boy before he gets away. I was standing registering somebody at the next door. I knocked on his door. He'd obviously had a look through the spyglass, thought I was a debt collector or something. Chose not to open the door, but when he saw that I was registering the guy next door, he was straight on me, chased me out the close. We've had a 72-year-old guy approaching us on a stall and saying, I want to vote for this. I've never voted in my life. I've never been registered in my life. A 72-year-old man. Again, that was up in the Strathmartin Road. Now, we're hearing, actually, that we're actually behind in the polls. Who here believes that? It's an absolute joke.
It's an important announcement, and you've been very well ordered, but I want you to listen to this. If you're going to Dens, if you're going to Tannadice, if you're going anywhere, including the city square, keep the heat.
Come on, geez a wave, geez a wave, geez a wave, wave. Get folk to wave at us.
Wave! Everybody wave! Wave for the camera!
Keep it going, keep waving. He's a wave, he's solidarity.
Okay, folks, we're going to form up for behind the piper for anybody that wants to march to the square. But just keep it cool and take it slow.
It's a wave.
The piper's just going to position himself beside Burton's statue. We're going to ask people to form up behind the piper, and anybody that wants to move down the city square is more than welcome. Thank you.
He who pays the
the paper, please. Goes it should. You guys, keep smiling, guys.
We're the happy ones. There's no campaign.
Oh, hiya, how you doing? Hiya, Ann. Great.
I take it you're a yes man.
Of course, sorry. Use a wee bit of that. Use a wee bit of that, guys. Hey.
What do we want? Independence! Where do we want it now? What do we want? Where do you want it? What do you want? Where do you want it? What do we want? Where do we want?
As soon as it can possibly be organised.
Tories! 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 Out! 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 Tories! 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 Out! 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 Tories! Out! Tories! Out! Tories! 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 Out! Out! Out!
If you hate the effing Tories, clap your
Hands! If you hate the effing Tories, clap your hands!
If you hate the effing Tories,
Hate the effing Tories! Hate the effing Tories!
Spread the good news, independence is coming. Help is on its way. We're going to get an end to Tory government once and for all in this country. On 18th of September, the world's going to hear Dundee's law. And it's going to be a yes. Tory, Tory, Tories! 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 Tories, Tories, Tories! And that includes red Tories.
Come on!
Tories!
skies. You just Tories, you just Tories, you just Tories in the skies. You just Tories in the skies.
Bear Together claim that we're attempting to try and divide a united kingdom. I'd just like to say this. How united a kingdom do we actually live in? Where does the phrase the North-South divide come from? Does that bespeak a kingdom that is united in itself? The reality is that we are a fundamentally divided society between the haves and the have-nots, between that 1% that hoard their money in offshore banking accounts and that other 99% who are prey to the insecurities of minimum wage, zero-hour contracts and benefit sanctions. We've been outside the brew for the last 4 months in Dundee, which has got one of the highest sanction rates anywhere in Scotland. And we can see the picture of this so-called United Kingdom when people come out from being sanctioned for the heinous crime of being 2 minutes late for an interview and find themselves left without any money for up to 12 weeks. We want to see an end to that kind of division. And I make a point to the older voters amongst you. There's been a massive emotional appeal made towards you to remember the welfare state that gave you free education and free health from 1945-46 onwards. And I'll tell you this, I speak as an ex-Labour Party member, on and off for 20 years. I left for the last time in the Second Gulf War, I couldn't stomach it anymore. The new Labour and Tories are new bottles. That's all the thing that they are. And I say this, I didn't leave the Labour Party. The Labour Party left me, and it left thousands of other people behind in Dundee and in cities right across Scotland. We want to have a society where we don't vote in a party and then find the Tories are actually ruling us instead. And then we vote yes on September the 18th. We will put an end to the democratic deficit. We will consign the Tories in Scotland to the dustbin of history where they belong. And I say this to my ex-comrades sitting in the Scottish Labour bus. It's quite a big bus that can probably hit the entire membership in Dundee and probably the entire membership in Scotland. Dundee played a fundamental part in the creation of the Labour Party in the 1880s. This was one of the birthplaces of the modern Labour movement. And isn't it ironic that Dundee will also play a part in burying the new Labour Tweedledum and Tweedledees? Get rid of the Red Tories. And I say that the best thing that can happen to the Labour Party is independence, because then they'll be able to come out from under the Westminster carpet and actually stand on their own 2 feet and become the party that we knew when we were young barons, the kind of party that had councillors on every street. What have they got now? Public schoolboys running them. People that do not know the realities of actually life at the sharp end. These people have nothing relevant to say. There is no point in the modern Labour Party as it stands at the moment. And when we get independence, we will have a decent society. We know it's not going to be a land of milk and honey. But I can guarantee this, if we vote no, they'll come in. David Cameron will be able to turn around and say, I'm the man that saved the in 2015, and they will be coming after our National Health Service, they will be coming after free education, and they will be coming after the welfare state. Reject siren voices for the mass media that are attempting to tell you that we do not have the support. They say that they're still ahead in the polls. Go into any scheme in Dundee and it is a sea of salt tires and yes flags. And no stickers, and better together stickers are as rare as hen's teeth. The reality is they're panicking. They're absolutely panicking. And the world has come to us. We didn't have to go out to the world anymore like those 2 million Scots that were spewed out for this country because they couldn't find opportunities in the 20th century. The world is coming to us now, and they're watching us, and they will hear Alright, Dundee's roar on September the 18th.
How are we going to vote? Yes! I was rubbish, I want a wee bit louder. What do we want? How are we going to vote? Yes! Thank you, brothers and sisters.
I'm proud to be a member of English Scots for Yes. I'm proud to be living in a country that makes us so welcome. And I'm even more proud to be living in a country in which so many people want to see a fairer society. Because we're not just voting for independence, we're voting for a different way of running society. We're voting for a fairer world. You know, the 30 years following the Second World War, we saw growing equality. We know it can happen. It all went wrong in the 1980s. We had Thatcher, we had Reagan. We've been growing inequality ever since. On all those banks, on all those big businesses that are currently telling us to vote no, are doing us very well out of that, thank you. No wonder they're telling us to vote no. Why should we believe the banks? We know what the banks have done. Why should we believe these big businesses? We know what they've done. We know why they're telling us to vote no. We are voting for a fairer society. We're voting for a fairer society here in Scotland. And I believe that fairer society can set a model for the rest of the UK. I believe it can set a model for the rest of the UK, but not just for the rest of the UK. Scotland can be the place that turns the tide. Scotland can be the place that turns the tide for the whole of Europe. We can be the people who say, no, no more inequality. We want a fairer society. We want ordinary people to be in charge. Scotland can be the people who turn the tide, and we can do it by voting yes. We can do it by telling our friends to vote yes. It's just been amazing that this has been a campaign that's been taking place across kitchen tables, in bus stops, across street corners. It's just been fantastic. I've talked to so many people I've hardly got a voice left, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of other people who've got no voices, but just enough to say, yes, we've done it on the 19th. Thank you.
The pain of being robbed sells like the mist. That's how they insist. Emma McCross for him rule, cause independence would be cool. We've been led by fools for long enough. I don't feel the love they believe, they give. We are Scottish, and we need to be free. Is it me? Is it you? Is it him? Is it us? Should I trust? Was I lost now a cuss? Fuck it, I missed that bus.